Hey, I'm JD Haley with Aux'Arc Climbing. We're going to talk today about cost efficiency with a focus on silicone. We'll touch base with resin for a second, but we're really going to focus on silicone. This will be a open to everybody kind of thing. I want people to be aware of cost efficiency before going in. I don't want somebody to go into it and spend the 60 bucks for the 2 trial units and say, okay, I really enjoy this, and then get on here and watch this video and be like, oh, I could have done that so much differently. So let's talk about the different here. I have not gotten away from my initial products for a long time because I've just been buying them locally through a place called Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a big hobby store in the flyover states of the U.S., all through the Midwest, down in the South. Big reason why is because they have a 40% off daily coupon. Every day you can go in there and buy one item 40% off. And I typically just go buy resin and silicone. One Monday, one Tuesday, so on and so forth. And so I actually only spend about $18 per pop. Now, that's the only reason I'm going to keep that cost efficient by buying their trial units for this long. And it's in a point where I really want to branch out from that, really get higher quantities in. And we'll talk about why. So Alumilite, their trial unit, is a pound of silicone. This is about a pound of silicone. There's nothing really wrong with Alumilite. I've been pretty happy with it. If you're going to get online and look, you're going to go to the local hobby store and take a look. Alumilite has several different products. There's 4 different silicones. There's Quick Set, High Strength 1, 2, and 3. This is High Strength 3. It's not so much about the tensile strength, but really the flexibility and how well it pulls together. Quick Set is extremely tough. It's a very stiff silicone. It's got a short hardness alpha rating of about 40 to 50. Short hardness has several ratings from A up to D. D is where these kind of things fall under, like skateboard wheels. We're not worried about that. We're just worried about short hardness alpha. This has a hardness rating of about 8 to 10. Very flexible, but I have noticed that anything like when I sculpted these cracks into here, the deeper section of those cracks ripped off pretty easy because they're just so narrow and they got closed in on both sides by the texture. They just pulled off in the hole and I had to scrape them out of the mold, right out of the hole. So I was kind of looking for a little bit tougher silicone so I can go into a little more detail with some more foam. Probably not floral foam, probably something else. But I also want a little more cost efficient options out there. Like I said, this is about a pound. It is short hardness 8 to 10. Also 10 cure. There's 2 types of silicone if you're hopping online to look at other options, because there are other companies out there other than Alumilite and Smooth-On, who I'm also going to talk about. But you need to look for 10 cure, short hardness alpha 10 to 20. 10 cure is its brother is Platinum Cure. Platinum Cure is the nicer silicone. It's a little more money. It supposedly has a longer life as a mold after you've cast it. But it's a little more temperamental. It's a lot less forgiving to cast than the 10 cure is. 10 cure is pretty hard to mess up as long as your retaining wall is correct and you knew what you were doing with your shape that you put in there in the first place. So 10 cure, short hardness A 8 to 10, Alumilite High Strength 3. Now this is about a pound, about 30 bucks. The last thing I tried is this Mold Max 20 from Smooth-On. So Alumilite is ALUMITE.com. Smooth-On is SMOOTH, I think a hyphen, ON.com. Smooth-On Casting will bring it right up on Google. This is their trial unit. It is Mold Max 20. The 20 refers to the short hardness, which I upped the short hardness a little bit because I want to try and find something I can do some crack sculpting with and not worry about it pulling out. I've been pretty happy with this. It's pretty stiff. The trial unit with Mold Max is still only about 30 bucks, but it's a 2.2 pound unit. Much better. This is the same cost mold, not counting the discount. $30, $30. Now, if you're doing the 40% off and you're getting it for 18 bucks, it's a little bit harder to justify when you have to ship this in, but still, a lot of everybody's gonna have access to that. Mold Max 20 seems to work really well. I've been pretty happy with it, and like I said, it's 2.2 pounds compared to just a simple pound. Mold Max 20, I think, is where it's at. It's probably where I'm going to go. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, you're going to do a bunch of these smaller holds going forward, I think, or where you start. I think that's a good idea. Start with some little simple stuff like this. That came out of this mold right here. Start with really simple stuff to begin with. Not because you can't do it. It's a good way to learn. If you mess up on your early molds, you're only out a half pound of silicone in this case, and that hurts a lot less than being out 2.2 pounds, Start little, just do feet. You can never have enough feet. And then the other thing is kind of a resin cost efficiency thing is that when I'm mixing the bigger holds for this, I always do a little bit extra resin just so I know I got all the cavities filled or my big holes filled. The leftover resin is always great for pouring into this. This is about 400 milliliters. This is like $75 maybe. And so, you know, you get in there and you mix it all up and you got just a little bit left, you can fill up one or both. It's real easy. I've always got all kinds of extra feet running around because I can just fill it up out of extra resin. You know, and I'm not wasting that resin. I'm not letting, you know, an extra 100 milliliters sit in the bottom of my pitcher, harden and do nothing with. I've got a bunch of these little feet holds. It works out great. So, as you're getting into your larger holds, there's a cost efficiency curve that starts to get a little bit harder to justify. You know, it starts to kind of even out. For a $30 mold like this, it's really easy to make your money back because you can cast, like this guy here, I can cast this one about 16 times out of a liter of resin. So 30 bucks for the silicone, 30 bucks for the resin, or 18 per if you're getting the discount. And I can make that money back. I can do about 16 holds out of that. I'm making my money back super quick. $1.50, $2 a hold, maybe at the most. That's pretty good. It's easy to make your money back and get back the cost that you put into the mold, because it's really the mold you have to overcome. The resin, once you already have the mold, the resin's cheap. Then you get into some of these guys. This is a little bit harder. 2.2 pounds. You're putting a little more resin cost into it. You still get your money back. I really think the peak of that curve is about here with the jugs. We're still pretty easy. These are about 150 to 200 milliliters a piece, if that much. Just somewhere between 150 and 200. And it's pretty easy to get them back. You know, you can cast about 10 of them out of a liter of resin. The silicone I did for it, I think it's about 4 pounds of silicone, so that was kind of a pain. So you have to overcome the cost of the silicone, which if you're still doing trial units of silicone, if it's 4 pounds, it's $120 before any discount, plus whatever resin cost you got into it. So your first couple of casts are going to be really expensive comparatively, but the more holds you're going to cast out of that mold, the better your return is. So when you're sculpting new holds, you need to be aware, how many times am I going to actually want to have this on my wall? Jugs. Man, I can put jugs on my bouldering wall all day long. I can take them to my local gym all day long. I can almost never have enough jugs. Same with feet or crimps or edges. Man, I can always have more of these things. There's nothing wrong with them. So I'm almost guaranteed to get my cost back and then some, like way beyond that, because I've got so much need and I've got so many areas to put that kind of thing at. Then you get into something like this monstrosity. This guy was like 7 pounds of silicone. It's a really cool hole. There's only like a couple of things to do with it. It's just a giant chicken head. I'm not going to build a bouldering route out of 12 of these things. I'm going to have maybe 2 of them in a route, and that's like maybe bouldering. Top roping, I might even have, you know, in a 30-foot section, I might have 2 or 3 of them, maybe. But you know, not everybody's got that much top rope room. And for guys doing this for their bouldering wall, this really is kind of ridiculous. I would just build this out of wood next time, because you only need the 1, maybe 2. I'm probably not going to get my money back out of that mold because it's just so unique. So the next large hold I did is this sloper, and I actually really love this sloper. I did the hollow back correctly, so I saved away my resin cost quite a bit. Brought my silicone cost up some because there's about 2 pounds of silicone for the hollow back, but my resin cost came down. But I also sculpted this guy with a bunch of different angles. So I've got a nice 90 right here. I've got another slightly less than 90 with a cool crimp in it. I've got like a 45 up here and then a pretty steep section right here. There's like 4 or 5 angles on this guy that make it really adaptable. You just rotate it to change it to what you want for your hardness. I mean, you can take the same holds, put them on the same wall in the same order, and depending on the angle of your hold, you can have a V3 or you can have a V5. And then just how you space them and everything else makes it more difficult. So I can do a lot of things with these slopers. I can easily have a couple dozen of these slopers and find places for all of them. There's so many things I can do with them. They're also great for putting on hangboards. So both my hangboard right now has got 2 of these. My Climbing Buddies hangboard's probably gonna have 2 of them. There's a lot of things I can do with these guys. I can pump them out for training. You know, you've seen those guys that have got like 8 slopers, 4 on each side in a row going up the wall. It's probably gonna happen with these. There's a lot of things I can do with this. This pincher is a little bit more unique, but I can still use it for a dish sloper. I can use it for a pinch. I can use it for a side pull. There's still a lot of things I can do with it. It's just none of them are quite as unique as this. I don't know that I'll need as many of these as I do my slopers, but I still can put a dozen of them out and be pretty happy with them. So be aware of that before you get into making these gigantic molds like this. This is like 7 pounds of silicone. If you're doing trial unit prices, that is a ton of money. Let me do the math here. It's like $210 of silicone before any kind of discounts. $210 mold. I'm not recording this while my wife is at home. $210 mold. So now, even though this is only about $9 to $15 of resin, it's still, if I do 7 of them, I'm still tacking on that $30 per pound of silicone. So it's still like a $45 hold. I've got to make 7 or 8 of these things just to break even with having ordered, you know, 5 or 6 online. Because most of the time they come in groups of 5, and a group of 5 is like 160. So I really got to make almost 10 of them to justify the cost, to break even. So if I'm going to make more than 10 of them, this is fine, but it's also got to have more uses than just a simple chicken head jug. Okay, you got to be able to do more things with it. If there's no reason that you can think of that you would want to have a dozen of these holds this size, don't sculpt them. Don't spend the money on it. Just order something. So be aware of that for cost efficiency. So if you're going to get out of the trial size, you can justify a little bit more if you can get your silicone prices down. If you go to alumilite.com, ALUMITE, I think I said that, that's okay. You can get this pound of silicone for 30 bucks, or you can get 5 pounds for 110, so now you're doing about $22 a pound, or you can get 10 pounds for 165. So that's pretty cheap. That's a little bit easier to justify, but you gotta spend the capital on it, and it's a little bit harder to justify sometimes. I'm kind of done with the silicone. I think I'm going to MoldMax 20. I really like it. MoldMax 20 sells their trial unit at 2.2 pounds for 27 bucks. They sell 11 pounds for 103 bucks. That is before shipping, mind you, but that's less than $10 a pound. That's a really good price for probably a superior silicone. So that's the direction I would go with that. Again, you're looking for that 10 cure, short hardness. That's a hardness of 20. Anywhere from 10 to 20 I think is probably good for this particular hobby. Let's talk resin for a minute. Resin, I've been using RC3 tan from Alumilite. Trial unit again is about 30 bucks. That seems to be the standard for trial units, whether they're 2.2 pounds a pound or a liter. They are 27 bucks for, or 30 bucks I think for 2 pounds. They do theirs in pounds instead of liters, which is weird. But it equals about 8.5 liters instead of the full, I'm sorry, 8.5 milliliters instead of a full liter. So it was about 30 bucks. For smooth cast 320, which is what these are cast out of. All 3 of these objects came out of those 2 pounds. That's all it made, which isn't horrible because these are big holes, but you know, whatever. I can get that for 2 pounds for 30 bucks, or I can get 15 pounds for 30, which is about 7.5 liters. That's not bad for 90. I'm sorry. Alumilite 1 pound or 1 liter for 30. 8 liters for 90. It actually annoys me, the cost disparity. I can buy 3 liters for 90 locally, or I can buy 8 liters for the same price online. That's really annoying that the trial unit is so much more expensive per pound than anything else. So be aware of that. I would go buy trial units of silicone, trial units of resin, 1 of each. Maybe if you're going to switch products eventually, try a trial unit before you do anything else, like I did with this mold here. Once you know that you're going to bite this hook and get into this, I would stop buying trial units. I would just save up and order the larger bulk, because 8 liters for 90 compared to 3 liters for 90 is just ridiculous. And silicone, 11 pounds of silicone for about $9 a pound compared to 11 pounds of silicone for $330. That is ridiculous. I mean, you're talking a third of the cost by ordering a larger bulk online. So those are my thoughts on silicone. I have liked this MoldMax 20. I've been pretty happy with it. So far the 320 smooth cast has been fine too. I haven't gotten a lot of time on them. So in summary, if you're gonna get online and look for silicone, short hardness alpha of about 10 to 20, 10 cure. It's got to be, you're looking for anywhere from $10 to $15 a pound for it to be really cost efficient if you're not going to do the trial units. And then you are looking for, beware of shipping costs. And then again, I would start small molds, so that way you're saving in a resin cost by having some place to put your extra resin that you mix up too much of, which is not a bad thing to do. Yeah, if you got any questions, leave them below. feel free to contact me or whether you're a patron or not, and ask questions. I'm more than happy to help. Just reach out. So I hope this answered a bunch of your questions. I hope this is what you're looking for. If it is, hop in and start making shapes and show me what you're doing. I'd love to see it. So thanks.